Wow.
Very nice indeed.
Hey, we got
Thank
a
you, everyone.
couple of folks came over from Pune here.
Mm.
Oh,
Oh,
Hey,
Ganesh.
Yes, Jai Baba. Good evening to
ah,
everybody.
Ganesh.
Yes,
Hi Namita. Hi Ganesh.
hi.
hi,
Hi.
morning.
Good evening. Good night. It's almost time. It's the time
And
actually.
Jack.
Mhm.
Jake, sorry.
Hi Jake.
Sorry.
Jake Baba.
Jai Baba. The usual suspects, like they say, right?
Yeah, these are the Wrens, right? The Wrens.
That's right.
REND. Hey, Thursday, have you got a Hafiz for us?
I do, Jeff. The other day I read one, but I don't think you were around, so I'm gonna read it again.
Yeah.
And I hadn't finished it, so now it's finished. So
Baba's favorite poet,
oh,
as you all know.
get that wrong. Hopefully, Baba's favorite translator.
Well, it's our favorite.
Oh my Lord! All right, I want to do it so that I can see you guys too. It's hard with these small screens, and my Mac is tiny, relatively speaking. So, Hafiz says, from the intensity of desire for you, we have lost our desire for sleep. It is not proper to bow down to anything but the dust of your alley. Around your languid eyes, no one has seen a sober one. Show me an eye who has not been ruined from imagining your eyes. Whomever I observe is afflicted with a sadness. I have not seen a heart which has not been kebabbed from your love. Whomever is slain with the razor of your love on doomsday, whoever is slain with the razor of your love on doomsday, at the threshold beyond death, there is no question and answer for him. Hafez, like gold, fell into the bush and caught on fire. One is not a true lover unless one glows like fire.
Is that you think that's a reference to the burning bush of Moses?
It could be. I had a hard time with this line to figure out because the image is like a gold that fell into the bush, and then Tob often I think is like, you know, like an amber glowing, you know, catching on fire and glowing like an amber. What the story of Moses was, you tell us, Jeff. What was up with him and the bush, burning bush?
Well, I think that's where he got the Ten Commandments, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not real versed on that, but um, I don't know if he's referring to that because he was very.
No, he got the Ten Commandments on the mountain.
Oh,
But before that he saw the burning bush and felt the presence of God in the burning bush.
ah,
Didn't it speak to him, March? Wasn't there a voice? I thought.
Yes,
Yeah.
Betty.
I am that I am.
oh, there we have it.
Yeah, and that's,
So read those last couple lines again with that in mind.
حافظ چو ضرب بته در افتاد و تاب یافت عاشق نباشد آن که چو زر او به تاب نیست. Hafiz, like gold, fell into the bush and caught on fire. One is not a true lover unless he glows like fire. Like amber, like fire, really. You know, when you put a piece of gold into the fire, what happens? Does it melt? Does it glow? I have a hard time with this whole imagery.
Melts. Soft.
It melts. Yeah, it melts. So a true lover has to melt in the fire of love
Yeah.
and become nothing. Let's go.
Can you
You're
become
you're
a,
there, Thursday.
No.
can this happen in the corporate world too? You like melt like
I think it can only happen during late nights with Jeff.
no. No, well, so that's
Oh dear.
beautiful though.
Yeah.
I'm cooking dinner. I'm listening from afar.
Yeah. So Namita, have you got anything up your sleeve there?
Yeah, I had a question.
Yeah.
I'd like you to actually take it up for me. I'd like to know today what is the difference between having a choice, that is free will, and destiny. So something that is already fixed and something that you have a choice, that is your free will to take action. And yeah, so how does that actually play out? I mean, in the sense that when you're living your life, and you know that certain things happen for you. I mean, are they predestined, or you made a choice and therefore or you have a choice to change what's happening in your life? Is
Aha.
that,
Right.
and let's say, let's say you want to go back and you want to redo something. Is that, ever possible? I know it's not possible, but that was just coming
Yeah.
from nowhere. I mean, it's a stupid
So you've
question,
opened
maybe.
up, Namita, you've opened up a can of worms, but it's great. It's a very good
Always,
question. It's a wonderful
thank
question.
you, and always.
And it's not only just an abstract question, it's an experiential question.
Correct.
Here's what, for example, you're wondering if you can undo something you did in the past.
Right.
The way you can undo something you did in the past, and this is what Baba brought home to me, is send love in Baba's name to the thing that you did in the past, which you wish you hadn't done. In other words, when you think of that memory of what you did, it'll make you cringe.
Yeah.
And if each time
Correct.
that memory comes up and you cringe, it's only confirming it more powerfully in your consciousness, in your memory.
Oh, okay.
So when it
Okay.
comes up, send Baba's love to it, again and
Wonderful.
again, so that it's not, even though it happened, it doesn't have the same power over you. It doesn't have the same
Right.
charge. Does that make sense? That's what I do.
Absolutely, yes.
Because I did a lot of things in my college days
Correct. Yeah.
are painful to remember. So you have to, in order to undo that, you change your relationship to those past events.
Right.
And the trouble is, what happens is that we're judging what we did back then with our present consciousness, and that's not fair.
Correct.
If we knew what we knew now, we wouldn't do it, but we didn't know what we know now. So you have to be it's not fair to judge
Right.
a past action with what you know now. But anyway, that's one thing I'm saying. That works for me.
Well, how about if you judge how about if you judge your circumstances also? I mean, and like I said, what is the difference between free will and destiny?
Yeah.
In the sense
Okay.
that sometimes when you look back, yeah.
Yeah. Now that's another question there. Now this my feeling is, if your conditioning is so powerful, what can I say? It exerts such a powerful influence on you. The more it does, the less freedom you have. In other words, if you have an addiction, you're not free, to make all the choices you could. Say you have an alcoholic addiction. You come into the evening, you're not as free as somebody who doesn't have an addiction to alcohol because your conditioning is forcing you to drink. You know what I mean? So the
Yes.
more we get free of our conditioning, especially the negative side of our conditioning, the freer we are to choose other options, you know, other things to do. The more, and then you have your conditioning, but if you want to get beyond your conditioning, if you turn to Baba, you get uh, a freedom from a great many of your conditioning, and you get even greater freedom the more you can, uh, the more you're kind of say living in Baba, because love is free, but our conditioning is
Right.
not. I mean, we are under the tyranny of our conditioning unless we can get to Baba's love, and then we get a certain measure of freedom. Does that make sense?
It does. And so, in continuance with what you're saying, do I understand this as, I mean, the conditioning that each one of us, I mean, of course, different for each one of us, but I mean, like, do you offer it up to Baba, or do you wait for it to just, work itself out? Or, and like I said, I mean, is that why things play out in our lives? So is that what is destiny by our previous sanskaras, whatever is happening right
I didn't quite get that, but whatever you get to Baba, whatever you give to Baba, and the Mandali were, Erich and Darwin especially, get in touch with what with the thing that you find binding in you, the emotion or the emotional complex. Feel that deeply and then hold it out to Baba. And bit by bit, you'll be released of that. But it's not like something that happens overnight. It's a long process. But the more you give to Baba, the freer you become. But here, I'm going to say one other thing, and then these guys here are and Parish Day, and well, who we got? Anybody wants to join in? But here's some of you heard this before. I once asked, uh, where did Namita go? Up. Anyway,
She disappeared.
yeah, it was her destiny to disappear.
Maybe she fell into the bush.
Her conditioning.
You know what? The conversation is getting too deep for her. She decided.
No, she's savvy. She's real savvy. So this some of you have heard this before, but I once asked Darwin how he came down on predestination and free will. Hey, there's Namita.
Oh, is she back?
Namita, good. Are you still there, Namita?
Sorry. Yes, I'm back.
Okay, good.
I think I will.
I got one other thing to say, and then other people are going to chime in. So here's what.
Sure.
I once asked Darwin Shaw, he's an old disciple of Baba's from the 30s, how he came down on free will and predestination. And he said, well, what do you think? So I came up with various terms, and I can't remember what the terms were, but the one that he signed off on was this, was spontaneous predestination. Now see if you can run that through you. Spontaneous predestination. And here's what that means, is that love, the love in us, predates creation. Love came before creation. So then creation came afterwards. So creation is predestined. The script has been written, but it's like a black and white film. It has no color in it, but it happens. So with the love that we have in us, we can put the colors into this black and white film. Does that make sense? In other words, we could be here all together, and this could be a very boring event.
Yeah.
Or we can add some spice and color to it, our being together here. It's destined that we're all here, for sure.
Right.
So then what are we going to, what colors we're free to put the colors into it. So
we're all doing the work together.
Yeah. So, okay, so I've said my little piece. What about you guys there?
I have something too, and Jay, go ahead.
I have a story to share. This might not be, this is my favorite version of understanding of a story that describes the difference between free will and divine will, and it's by Rustin B. Falahati.
Yeah.
The following is what Mani had to say on free will and divine will. You see, it's like, oh wait, no, I'm so sorry. Yes. I see, there's two stories in one here and the one I'm about to read. Let me find the one. Okay. On another occasion, when a Baba lover asked Bauji to explain the difference between divine will and free will, Bauji said in reply, a man once approached the Prophet Muhammad with a question. Tell me, Prophet Muhammad, are all my actions because of divine will, or is it all my free will? The Prophet was seated talking with his disciples when the man asked this question. He knew the intention of the man was to trap him. He asked the man who was seated to stand up. The Prophet Muhammad started talking with his disciples and ignored the man. After a while, the man got restless. He again asked the same question and asked him to give a reply if he knew the answer and not keep him standing. The Prophet looked at the man and said, yes, I will give you your reply, but first you raise your one leg and stand. The man did as he was asked to do and stood on one leg. The Prophet again started talking with his disciples, completely ignoring the man as if he had forgotten about him. After some time, the man was visibly upset and with anger and asked the Prophet, why don't you answer instead of making me stand on one foot? The Prophet looked at the man and said, yes, I'm going to answer your question, but first you must do what I ask you to do. Raise your second leg also and stand. On hearing this, the man was totally infuriated. How can anyone stand on both raised legs? You are asking me to do silly things instead of answering my questions. Do you have an answer? The Prophet said, yes. The first leg that you raised is your free will. To the extent that you can move your leg around is the extent of your free will. Your second leg represents the divine will, which supports your free will. And just as you are unable to raise your second leg and stand, you cannot change the divine will, and whatever is your free will is also totally dependent on your divine will. Sorry, not on your divine will, but on the divine will.
Something to say. Jake,
yeah.
I have something to say about that.
Yeah, but go ahead. Yeah, anything more on that?
The dancers. How about the dancers? The dancers have their two legs and 2 feet in the air at the same time when they dance. They leap and they jump. So what is that? Their free will or the divine will that they lift their both legs at the same time?
Yep.
I'm sorry, Jake. I couldn't help myself.
So the answer to your question is the plot thickens, is what it really boils down to.
Yeah. And
But
you can tell,
if they can stay in the air for 5 minutes, then I would say, yeah, you're right.
yeah, that's realization. Yeah.
My
So,
2 cents.
Well, watching Nureyev, you know, Nureyev is a Russian dancer
yeah.
back in the 50s. That he was the most amazing dancer that ever been, you know.
This
Yeah.
is
He
true.
was
And
he
you
was
also,
like, I doubted that he was 5 minutes on the air because this is really a long time. But he was amazing how he could be in the air and leap and do stuff in the air and then come down and then go back up. You know? He was a really
and Lenita is giving us the sanskaras of her own dance career.
Yeah.
yes.
So my little 2 cents here is that as Jake said, and Bauji used to really emphasize this point, is that individual will is subservient to divine will. And really there's individual will, divine will, and the sanskaric pattern of what Jeff says, the predetermined way that any individual will act and perceive and speak is based on the culmination of all the previous conditioning. But there is that little window called love and surrender where that can be shifted to a new consciousness level that will change the pattern, break the pattern of conditioned response. And that's the real work.
Good. No, that's good. As our will becomes more divine.
I have an answer to the riddle.
Oh, there. Go ahead.
Stand on your hands, therefore both feet are off the ground, and dance on your hands.
That's it. And
Okay, Jeff, can I add?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so here's something Namita had asked also, can the destiny be changed? Okay, so it's like this, what I understand, and with Jeff also I gathered is, if supposing we are in some situation which is like something is troubling or something, and then it's all due to our past karmas, the other person is just an actor, and that can be changed with grace. And here is what Baba says about grace. Okay, let me read out this beautiful quote. Like the destiny can be changed through grace when we invoke Baba's grace. And here is what Baba says. It's from the beams. God keeps the door of redemption eternally open. Through repeated sincere prayers, it is possible to effect an exit from the otherwise inexorable working out of the law of karma. The forgiveness asked from God evokes from him his inscrutable grace, which alone can give new direction to the inexorable karmic determination. So with grace, when we invoke his grace, the destiny can be changed. That is what.
Beautiful. Yeah. Does that,
Thank
Namita,
you.
does that, oh, go ahead, Namita.
I said thank you.
Yeah. I mean, thank God it's not just, you know, this, that we're just under this rigid law of cause and effect, karma, that Baba, through his grace, things that we should have to pay a price for, we can somehow be relieved from that through his grace.
Yeah, there's
and the prayer of repentance works wonders. That's what.
Yeah.
It's even this book beams.
Yeah, I heard this, or not heard. I recently read a nice summary of this idea of how the role that the avatar plays, that Baba plays in coming into our midst, and how just the act of Baba coming into our midst helps to shake up the constant mechanical unfolding of karma. And it's called the flash from the eternal, and this is from life at its best.
Yeah.
The act of a perfect master is not repetitive. It is not merely the redoing of something previously experienced in the context of a new setting. It is the doing of something that cannot be done within the restrictions of the experiences of duality. It is a creation of the utterly new, a descent of the truth into the false. Hence its creativity is infinite. The redeeming act of a perfect master is a flash of the eternal in the midst of what is otherwise nothing but rigidly determined causation. This is the mystery of divine grace bestowed by the perfect master.
Yeah. Those are Baba's own words there.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. If it hadn't been for Baba's grace, I think most of us here would have been behind bars by this time.
Yeah.
Baba has intervened, you know, so much in our life. We would be, I remember Mara said, if you were to ask Baba for all that he's done for you, your whole life would not be long enough.
Or on some corporate ladder climbing blindly. Or jail for you. I know that.
Yeah, I would have been behind bars. I would have actually been a bit depressed
Yeah.
by life. But Baba opened up a whole different way of seeing life.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It is amazing. For me, he retired me from corporate the minute,
Yeah.
I mean the minute I asked God to reveal who Meher Baba is.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And
Mita, what is
and
that all? Does that kind of? I mean, it's one thing to have it theoretically, but when you see the possibilities at the heart level, what these things
Yeah.
can mean.
I know. I keep thinking of this as a kind of, I mean, Jeffrey the other day, he mentioned like something like we're in a spiritual rehab, you know, constantly
I like that.
Yeah.
going in and out, going in and out.
Yeah.
And Baba is the one who is actually in charge of everything. So yeah, the free will, I definitely feel that there, yeah, the concept of free will actually, I think when you read about it, and I think they say you've got 7% free will and the rest is all destiny and stuff like that. So you have to be very conscious of the way you actually make a decision. And so I was actually referring to it more from a futuristic point of view also. So going ahead, if there is something that you need to choose, how would you um, make a decision? How would you know? Of course, I understand it's through our heart, and that's ultimately what I would choose. I mean, follow my heart is what I'm saying. And it's as simple as that. I know it, but just theoretically, like you said, I wanted to know what all this meant,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could
Beautiful.
you could be like Alaba and write it on a piece of paper and put it on Baba's photo and pick one, and that's the answer. But you have to do it. You have to absolutely and utterly trust that Baba will be giving you the right answer. There
Okay.
can be no doubt.
But one thing that I find is, I mean, Baba says that intuition is always 100% correct. And once you contact intuition, thoroughly, then you know. But what I find is if I have to make a decision and I'm not quite certain, I you know, my mind, one part of me is saying one thing, another part's saying the other.
Yeah.
I have to wait until the sign that intuition has finally arrived on the scene is when everything quiets down. My mind is no longer churning with something. That can take 3 days. On one case, it took 3 months to come to a decision.
Mm-hmm.
But then when it does, it's clear what to do. But, you know, we've got self-interest on the one hand and love on the other. And they'll battle each other until self-interest loses and love wins.
And
That's what I
sometimes,
find.
Jeff,
Huh?
I said sometimes, Jeff, we make decisions based on maybe not full intuitive, complete condition. You know, I mean, sometimes we have to make decisions and we don't have time. But it ends up being the right one, because even if it may appear difficult, like the difficult path, it has in store some essential learning that will be so profound to make sure that you don't do that again.
Yeah.
And it's the hard way. I know that.
Yeah. I call that Plan B.
It's terrible.
Mayor Prasad, what do you think about this?
Oh, about free will
and destiny, conditioning, and getting beyond conditioning.
you know, I think the best answer I ever heard on this was from Money, where she said something like, imagine you are on a train journey and it has you encounter various people on that, and it's going to a particular destination and a route. You know, how you react on that journey of yours is what is your free will. How you interact with people, whether you're gonna look out the window or whatever you do on that is your free will. But you can't really change the route or, you know, whatever is happening on the train. So the major events in life you can't really change, but she said that if you remember Baba, you know, all of those events will soften their impact.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you.
I remember that. Yeah. You know, Rumi would have a certain things. I remember one was, you know, he said, well, one thing he said is the debate between those who believe in free will and those who believe in predestination will go on till the end of time. But another one that I like that Rumi said is, we are all lions, but lions painted on a banner. We appear to be leaping only because of the wind.
That's great.
That's right.
And there is one more thing about free will is like, it's like money in your account. It's like the good karma from your past, and that just you can use it in your this life. Like it's just like money in your account, but that's limited, and you can use it till it gets over. So that's also the free will that you have. It's from the good karma you can have. Like you have all this in your life, which is from your good karma of your past, and that's like a free will which you can use till it gets exhausted.
Yeah.
Because it's limited and it eventually will get exhausted.
Erich, you all know, Erich used to say, I exercised my free will to become his slave. So he kind of, he lost his free will by becoming his slave. Just drown the whole thing out. Telly, what do you think? Oh, go ahead.
I said, if you know, if any one of us today were to be present, if, you know, had Baba been present actually amidst us in his physical form today, and had we been with him, I think it would be really difficult to survive with him. I mean, in the sense that the way the Mandali have worked, um, you know, yeah, to get rid of all these sanskaras, it is so difficult for us right now. I feel, you know, thinking of myself in that boat. That's all I'm saying. It's really difficult to imagine a life where, you know, getting stripped of everything that you think is yours, whether you own it, you know, whether you own, you know, material possessions, or whether it is your mental, everything. Getting rid of all your sanskaras basically is what I'm saying. It's not an easy task. So what the Mandali actually have, I mean, I'm fairly relatively new actually, so I don't know much. I haven't met the Mandali. I haven't really interacted with a lot of people, but I understand that it was not easy even for them. It's a difficult path.
Well, yeah. I mean, they said that it wouldn't have been possible without Baba making it possible. The life was too difficult
Yes.
for them to do alone. In fact, Adi said, I don't know if I can quote this exactly, but he said, being with Baba was like a fire. And it would have been impossible to endure without the cooling breeze of his grace. They wouldn't have been able to do it. It was something like that. But it would not been impossible without the cooling breeze of his grace. Yeah.
And I think we feel that. I mean, without feeling that cooling breeze of Baba's love, you know, there is no way that we could, even in our, I mean, I'm talking through personal experience, I couldn't move. I really couldn't move, take a step, I think, if it hadn't been him, his love, you know, guiding me through all the difficult patches. And I mean, not the external stuff alone, but even the internal mental and, I mean, yeah, the emotional, spiritual stuff that keeps, you know, wanting me to get better and better and better. But it has to be that, you know, so often when we criticize and judge, you know, he kind of just helps you so much to absorb and to surrender and to accept and to understand and to grow and to evolve. I think I think I have evolved a lot after.
Oh, we lost your sound. Baba did say his method is two steps forward, one step back. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So you make progress, and then your weaknesses overtake you, and then you make progress, and then your weaknesses take you over. And Baba said, in this way, he annihilates pride of progress as you go along. Some spiritual groups might just go from one, spiritual conquest to another, but then the pride, you look over and say, wow, these people, they're nowhere. The Lawtons, they're nowhere on the spiritual path. So Baba does it, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So we're gonna be faced with our weaknesses as we move forward with our strengths.
Hey, Jeff, can I read a quote from Adi?
Yeah.
In a very strange way, this is comforting, but I'll read it. My brother sent this to me. It goes, call yourself a lover of Avatar Meher Baba, but you must be willing for your love of Baba to suffer labors and sorrows. vexations and anxieties, and lack of necessities, sickness, injuries, reproof, disgrace, humiliations, shame, correction, and contempt. Jai Baba will then be yours.
Yeah.
I found something here that Malcolm Schloss asked Baba about destiny and fate of chance. Can I read that? I mean, maybe
Yeah,
that
go ahead.
seems related, but here it is. So on Tuesday, 4th of May, 1937, in the living room before breakfast, Malcolm asked Baba, "What is the difference between destiny and the fate of chance?" Baba answered, "Destiny is the divine law, or will, which guides us through our numerous existences. Every soul must experience happiness and unhappiness, virtue and vice, from the very commencement of its evolution up to that goal, which is the realization of God. Fate is based on karma, the law of cause and effect, which governs the events of our present life as well as those of our future lives. Through evolution, the soul receives, by means of the spirit, the impressions or samskaras, the processes which create experiences, and later the elimination of these impressions can be called fate. Let me read that again. The processes which create the experiences, and later the elimination of these impressions can be called fate, fortune, luck, or chance. Destiny, or the goal that the souls have to attain, is the realization of God. But actually, fate is different for every individual. If you can imagine, we can compare destiny to a load of 700 tons of happiness and unhappiness, vice or virtue, which every soul has to carry through its existence. One, one soul carries 700 tons of iron, another soul the same weight in steel, others lead or gold. The weight is always the same, only the kind of matter changes. Impressions of each individual vary, and the acquired samskaras form the structure and the condition of the future life of every individual. Hence, destiny is one, but fate is varied and different for each. Jai Baba. This message Baba gave in the month of May 1937 at Nasik. Jai Baba.
Wow.
Yeah. The main thing is that, can we benefit by these things, knowing these things, to be able to work, to draw closer to Baba? That's the.
Yeah.
I like two things. I mean, a lot of things you all said, but one that really struck to me was free will. Jake read, is dependent on divine will. So free will seems constrained. I mean, we do have definitely the free will as far as I can imagine, because imagination is infinite. So our free will sort of, to some extent, is infinite, but then it is constrained by the divine will. So whenever we step out of the limits, then we get dragged by the divine will to, be in what you call aligned with that sort of. And that's what I think.
I mean, I think, we've got a will, but it's not that free.
Yep,
I mean,
it
as
is
long as
constrained.
it's burdened by our conditioning, the more freer we get of our conditioning, the freer our will becomes, I would say. And the more love, the the freer it is altogether. Well, let's see what, hey, Telly, what do you think?
I was just remembering, I thought reading maybe in the family letters where Mani said that we don't really have free will, we have free want.
Yeah. I remember. Yeah, that's good.
She also said, as a rule, a man's a fool. When it's hot, he wants it cool. When it's cool, he wants it hot. Always wanting what is not.
Yep.
That's so true. But what's the difference, Kelly, between free will and free want? What she meant to say about that?
Well, she's basically saying that what we call free will is really just completely under the tyranny of our wants. In other words, our choices that we think we make, when you reach for that bottle on the shelf there, that's free want. You're free to reach for that bottle, but you're really not that free if you're addicted. Sooner or later in the evening, you're going to go over to that shelf and unscrew that bottle if you're addicted. So that's free want.
I like that.
That's the way I take it.
Money said that? Yeah.
Well, she was said free will and free want. That was.
So the want is not that free, after all.
Yeah, we have a will, but it's not that free until it gets freer the more we love. Jeremy, what do you think?
A
I mean,
few.
can you relate to this? I mean, can you relate this to how you conduct your inner life?
Well, I think someone said something that related to a thought that I had, which is like, I think it was you, Jeff, that there's one way in which like the question of free will versus divine will is like is put the wrong way, because Baba wants our will to be what he wants us to want, right? So like he wants our wish and our free will to be more and more aligned with what we think he would want. So if you're asking about free will versus divine will, it's almost like asking, well, how much can I ignore Baba and just do my own thing versus how much is predetermined for me? I mean, maybe that's putting it in like an overly negative way, but I just think like we can have more free will if we're just asking Baba to guide us more.
Yeah, beautiful.
But I also, another thing that I was thinking was, I was just thinking about my own life, and I feel like even if, like, we all have wants day and night, but I think like Baba puts those wants in our brain, in our heart. Like, I think that our own desires and yearnings are put there by Baba, and sometimes we get those things that we think we want, but I feel like it's because Baba wants us to get those things, and it may not yield the result that we think it will, or it may not give us what we actually want in the end, or in the way we thought we wanted it. So I guess, I don't know, like, I don't know if I know it's kind of vague. I'm just thinking like for example, I really wanted, for a long time, I always wanted to, work on a farm. And now I do that for a living. And it's not really what I had imagined. And of course, now I'm looking to do other things too, right?
Yeah.
But it's like Baba put that want in me. And for a long time, for one reason or another, it just didn't happen. And I felt like I had the opportunity to, and I just couldn't step over that threshold. And then he arranged things to where I was able to do it. But I don't think it was to like satisfy my desire. I think it was because I had to learn lessons through going through the process of getting what I thought I wanted, in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my own interpretation.
Yeah. No.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. And the thing is that even if we do something that we want to do that might not be aligned with what Baba might want for us, it might not be what he might wish for us, he can give us plenty of lessons. We can grow and learn spiritually, even if we've taken an obviously selfish path. You know, it's he's not handicapped by our choices, but
Yeah.
certainly can makes it easier if we do what he would wish to do, the loving thing rather than the selfish thing.
It appears that free will comes at a cost, a huge cost, I think. I mean, we think we have that free will and then we just go our way. And at some time you realize, God, I mean, this is so heavy and then so cumbersome. I have to rethink about my choices. And I guess that's when we start, at some point, be aligned with what is really the right thing, which is how Baba wants us to be. I guess it's a price you have to pay for trying to go away from the divine, whatever Baba wants us to do, so that we can progress in our journey.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah. We certainly learn by
Just according to,
Go ahead. Yeah.
can I interrupt? According to my understanding, wants are like desires. For free will, we need His grace. For everything, we need His grace. Is to even for free will. Suppose you have if His grace is there, you'll give an extra benefit. That is, we'll get free. And will is, of course, is law.
Beautiful.
That's my understanding.
Yeah. The more we love, the freer we're going to feel, definitely. At least that innermost level. Does Hafiz have anything to say about that?
Well, Hafiz here talks about the curve of his hair. The curve of your hair, which is Maya, really, illusion. At times it means Maya, at times it means the spiritual inner journey. The curve of your hair is the trap for sin and religion. This is one of the streams of his incredible workshop. The beauty of your face is the miracle of grace. However, the discourse of your charm and indifference is the exposed trickery. 100 hurrahs to your dark eyes. They are skilled magicians in slaying your lovers. And then I'm in the middle of translating the next verse, and the first line of it is beautiful. It is a strange path, this path of love. But you must wait until I finish the second line.
Okay, you're going to just leave me
Work in progress.
Alleyway there. Yeah. Wow.
It's interesting. It says that the eighth turn of this path of love, the eighth turn is the seventh earth. So this needs research. I have no idea what it means. Is the seventh earth. Very esoteric. It's beyond me.
Any other, well, Namita sure led us down a certain path. Any other subjects?
I wanted to share something else that I was reading recently from Life at Its Best. And this is called God Knows Not to Know God, God Knows Not to God Knows Self. As ordinary man, when God knows not he is God, for all time, his imagination remains the universe, and self remains imaginary. And this is self with a capital S.
Yeah, yeah.
as the perfect one, when man becomes God and ceases to remain anything else for all time and beyond all time, his imagination disappears and he remains self-conscious with a capital S. As a perfect master, when man becomes God and knows he has been man for all time, his creation remains imagination, and he remains self-conscious. So I like that. I'm not, there's one more part, but I like that line, that for all time his creation remains imagination, and he remains self-conscious. As God-man, when God becomes man and knows he is God, for the time being, his imagination becomes everything. And for all time and beyond time, he remains self-conscious. And I absolutely love that the final description of the avatar. For the time being, his imagination becomes everything. And what I love about that particular line is it helps me to feel just how, it's a reminder, and helps me to feel just how personal the avatar's role and touch is on in creation.
Yeah.
Just how personal, because his imagination becomes everything. Like I could just so feel the oneness in that, more so than, say, the description of the perfect master or just the God realized soul. I absolutely love that feeling, that view of the avatar's personal touch, of my personal relationship with Baba specifically. My personal relationship is just beautiful.
You know, Baba said that, on that note, Baba said that sometimes when he takes minor incarnation, it can be for just one person on the planet. So
their longing draws them down.
Yeah.
And I would say, or if you have a group and you're in the same area and there's such longing, he will come down for a minor advent. I mean, he comes down because there are longing hearts there, and into a particular locality, even though it's not a universal manifestation. It's beautiful. I mean, if you could imagine.
For a single person, you know, that's such a it's
a minor advent. He did come for a single advent. That's what was written somewhere in Real Treasure. That once he took this minor avatar and came just for a single soul. Wow.
Yeah.
Aside from,
go ahead.
Aside from Shivaji, which is the one named minor advent of recent past, does anybody know any of the others? I believe there's two others between Mohammed and Meher Baba, but I don't know their names, or if anybody knows who they were.
I don't know the name, but somewhere I happen to have read, or somebody told me that he came as a sweet meat vendor in some part in northern India.
Yeah.
Perhaps Allahabad or something. I don't know.
And a monk in Burma, Baba said.
Yeah.
And
you know, there's a story on that in the latest Glow, I think 1 or 2 months back. Very beautiful story.
Yeah.
On a Buddhist monk. And interestingly, he was the last minor incarnation before Baba, and he lost his voice before 10 years before he passed away. Yeah, in the Glow there is an article, very beautiful story.
Oh, yeah, we haven't seen that. But what going back to what Jake said is, it's hard to imagine that Baba is personally with each person. You know what I mean? Whether they believe in him or not, but not only just with each person, because we're kind of anthropomorphic, but um, also he's with every bug, he's with every tree, he's personally with each thing. He enjoys the company of each thing and each person, and it's our it's for us to enjoy his company. He already loves our company. There's a line where Mani says, "We know that." I'm paraphrasing. It is true that Baba is with each of us all the time, but it only becomes complete when we are with him. So,
What was the last one, Jeff? Can you repeat?
but it only becomes complete when we are with him. He's with us, as she says. And but our mind, what it does is the mind is like the binoculars turned around the other way. Even though Baba's right in front of you, it seems like he's far away. That's what the mind can do. The mind and the emotions and everything can create imaginary distances when Baba is right. Looking even more looking over our shoulder, he's even closer than that, but it's hard to let him in that close. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Iraj saying, and he included in himself in this, which is very endearing, but he said, we are all here just to slow down the mind. He said, our mind not slowed down, but we are here just to slow down the mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can feel the my resistance or my fear even to bringing Baba that close to me at times.
Yeah.
Because I'm afraid of disassociating from like my wants and my desires. I mean, to be quite honest, I can feel that part of me that's afraid to let go of identifying so strongly with those things, replacing those things for Baba. It's like I have a fear of doing that, a resistance to doing that. And it's ironic and kind of sad, but I just, in being honest, like I can really feel that, and and it's like I think, well, I don't know what I think, but I felt that very clearly.
Yeah, you think that he might take away everything, but actually he may put you in charge of all the things that you think he's going to take away. But take charge of them for him rather than just for yourself. Well, I'll just give you an example. We were talking about Shivaji. Shivaji, his master, one of his masters was a man named Ramdas. And when Shivaji eventually got control over, I guess, the Maharathas and the Maharashtra, that whole region, he came to Ramdas and said, "Now I give this kingdom to you." I don't know what it was called, but kingdom. And Ramdas received it and gave it back to him. Said, "Now I want you to take care of it for me." So he thought, yeah, well, maybe I'll get rid of this whole kingdom, but now he's got charge of it for him. Like you could give your whole family and your kids to Baba. You think, oh God, what if he took away my wife and kids? Oh my God, am I prepared for that? But he would take them and say, okay, now Jake, you look after them for me. I mean, I'm just creating a scenario, but that's
certainly
a lot of what Baba did.
Yeah, no, I like that I like that perspective because it's, I mean, in one part I think it's working with Baba, an example of Baba working with what you've got already. But
Yeah.
two, I also think it's like his compassion rather than it becoming this, ripping you or tearing you apart and so viscerally that you feel it. It's much more of a compassionate
Yeah.
outplay
Yeah.
to draw you closer to him.
Yeah. And that you get to continue the expression of your love, which is what he wants.
Mm.
He doesn't want you to rob you of all your objects of love.
Yeah.
It wouldn't. Yeah. No, it's.
Plus, it would be, I can see how that would create a hindrance then to being able to, be more open with your heart. I can't imagine what that would, the spiritual strength that would be required to endure that kind of experience where all the love objects in your life are ripped away at once and then still be expected to keep your heart open and
Yeah.
continue to love. Like that's a very challenging thing. I can see how that would become a hindrance for many people, if
Yeah.
not most.
So Jeff, what you said is like what Baba says, become the trustee of life. Here is the quote from Baba. It's from the book Just to Love Him. And herein Baba says, I do not have a big storehouse or warehouse for the lives of the millions of people, the multitudes who offer their lives to me. Instead, I give their lives back to them and say that life you have given me is no longer your life, but my life. You are now entrusted with it, so be careful that you do not squander it away. In effect, you have to become a trustee to this life.
Yeah, there it is. Beautiful.
Ganesh, where's that from again? I really like that.
This is from Just to Love Him, book by Adi K. Rani, page 123. And that he says, and Baba says, become the trustee of your life. Means once you give your life to him, he gives it back and says, it's not your life anymore. You have to live it like a trustee.
Yeah.
I was recently reading. I was recently reading Mera Meher, and one of the things I was struck with in that story, in part of the story that I was reading, is, just how to be with Baba, just how continually, the Mandali had to be comfortable, had to be willing to sacrifice their comfort. And be willing to plunge themselves into discomfort and tolerate that and be cheerful to be with Baba. And in a conversation with Charles Haynes, he said to me, how he found it so incredible that that they did that, it was their longing for Baba that brought them to do that. And that he then shared a quote from a passage or a saying from Elizabeth, saying that it wasn't, I'm gonna have to paraphrase this, but that it wasn't a painful, or it wasn't a horrible experience. It was one of joy, because of from what I took from the conversation is that it's about the longing brings you to a place that you're happy to sacrifice comfort and be in discomfort to be with Baba. That it's a joy, it's a pleasurable, it's a pleasurable thing to do. It's a wondrous thing to do. It's not a punishment or a hardship.
Yeah.
In the way we would think.
Yeah.
It would be a hardship.
Yeah. I have a certain kind of sense of the Mandali is the life that they led is quite different from the life that we in Baba's physical presence is different from the life that we're leading, in the sense that they became convinced that every little thing that Baba does is for the highest benefit for the whole universe and everybody. Eventually, after the training, they became convinced, so that they would do anything that Baba asked. Just do it, as uncomfortable as because they know that it's helping everybody. And so, and I feel like Baba comes and he has only a certain. He's on, as I've said before, he's on a tight schedule. He can't just be training everybody right and left. When he comes, he's got to do things quickly and get everything done according to the work that he's doing. So the group that's around him in its immediate presence just has to reach a point where they'll just do anything. Just whereas I think we have a certain amount of luxury because we're not in Baba's physical presence, so we can take our time doing this thing or that thing. I mean, it's that life was not strict. How can I say? It was strict only because of the timetable and what Baba had to do. He had to have people just to carry it out instantly, not because he wanted instant obedience in per se. His work needed to be carried out, instantly. And anybody that was willing to do that they were around him. But if we were over there, if we were with him, we would have to kind of get with that program.
Send you home otherwise.
Yeah. But, like that, in other words, Dr. Duncan said that, on these bus tours, they would maybe get just a half hour sleep a night for weeks on end. And like that's not required of us. But if we were with Baba, we'd have to do that, and he would make it possible. But we can't use what Baba asked of them to apply to our life.
Yeah, I remember Baba saying reading something along the lines like, the things I asked the Mandali do are, you shouldn't necessarily do. You're not under my thumb the way they were under my thumb. There's something along those lines. If anybody knows that particular quote, but yeah, I've heard that. I think that's I think it's good because I think I make the mistake sometimes feeling like I have, in order for me to be close to Baba or grow closer to Baba, I have to be willing to sacrifice my comforts in ways that I see reflected in the Mandali's lives, and I'm coming to understand that that's not true. But I tell you, it's an amazingly strong habit I have of thinking that way, feeling like that's what I have to do, is sacrifice myself in that way.
Yeah.
Or in great ways to be worthy of being close to Baba. And I don't know where that line really is drawn between the real sacrifice required and necessary and how great it really is compared to the, the masochistic side of me that wants to do great suffering for the sake of just great suffering alone and the attachment to suffering as opposed to the real love that's behind or that the suffering can actually bring.
Yeah.
So.
No, those are, we've got some scars of that in us, of old spiritual traditions and paths and everything that have to get dissolved by Baba, But anything else here? We lost Ganesh. He took off, Oh.
I'm here. Yes.
Any other? And Namita, no, I was really glad that Namita brought that up because she brought up earlier. It's it makes it clear that the more we do Baba's wish, the freer we become.
And I always wondered one thing on this. In the prayer, in the repentance prayer, in the last paragraph, why did Baba say according to your will instead of it should have been your wish? Like in your unbounded mercy,
Yeah.
we ask you to forgive us, O God, for all these sins committed by us and to forgive us for our constant failures to think and speak and act according to your will.
Yeah.
And I felt it should have been your wish.
Yeah. No, Erich said that too. I mean, it was written in Gujarati, and it got translated as will. But there is another definition of God's will that the Christians use. Not the that to do God's will means to do His wish. In the English language, in the Christian tradition, God's will is different from the universal will. So some people will say the prayer of repentance, and they always say wish at the end. But that's the meaning.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate that explanation. I never heard.
Erich tried to get it changed, but it was already printed. They couldn't do anything about it.
So can't we read with that wish and it still remains your will because that was read before Baba? So we just do that because it was translated during Baba's time.
Yeah.
Jeff,
Yeah.
I got a collection where it says, although prayer was initially presented in this collection with the last line was according to your wish, it was brought to the webmaster's attention that in the first reference of Love Alone Prevails at page 703, the word will used, not the wish. And in Lord Meher Baba, Lord Meher Bhau Culture at page 3951 also will use. Although on page 3738 on the same book, the word wish used. The other printed source that it with will are, that's Pardam's Godman 1964 page 238 and Balnathu's Glimpses of Godman volume 3 1904. Everywhere it was used only will, not wish.
Yeah. Yeah. But like I say, I mean, the Christian definition of God's will is what we would call God's wish.
One more thing, Jeff.
Yeah.
Baba said, today is the day, 8th September. Mahatma Gandhi met Baba in Rajputana on 1931. So,
Yeah.
do you think that Baba said he'll become perfect master after 3 more lifetimes? Had it been quit the politics, you should have got realization. I think so, according to my understanding. Since he did not listen to quit the politics, he has to forego 3 more lifetimes. That's my understanding. That's my observation. Am I right?
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember whether it was 2 more or I've heard
3 more.
I heard
3 more.
that he was going to be a street sweeper in London was his next incarnation to make up for a lot of the impressions that he took on when he was not actually perfect. Now I heard that, and that he would be one of the 5 perfect masters when Baba comes again. Now those are things I heard.
Who's that, Jeff? What's the name?
Mahatma Gandhi.
Oh, Gandhi. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
He was going to be the perfect master.
Yeah. So,
My goodness.
any other, let's see.
Brian.
Jeremy, you got any other things rattling around over there?
Jeff, sorry. You said he would come back when Baba comes? He would be a perfect master in Baba's time?
Yeah, when Baba comes again. That's what I heard.
Mm-hmm. Because that's not written. It just says perfect master in 3 lives.
Uh-huh.
You know how skillfully they edit these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing too is that getting these things verbally exactly right, we kind of know the spirit of things. You know, I know Erich would tell stories that were not entirely factually correct, but they carried the love and feeling, the touching feeling. That's the truth of it. Whether you get the grammar and the details exactly right is secondary compared to the the feeling that is transmitted through the story.
The scholars come around and then it becomes a problem. Got to fact check everybody.
Well, you know, take Hafiz. There are people that translate Hafiz like really literally, but then they don't. It doesn't touch your heart. So what kind of translation is that? They've got they got it verbally, but they haven't transmitted the feeling, the feeling of love. And then you got like a crazy old Farishte is, you know, got the wild translations, and she gets the feeling across.
It's by his grace if I do that. By the way, I think I might have figured out what this means, and I'll run it by you. You tell me.
Okay.
It is a strange path, this path of love. Alas, its 8th revolution lands on the 7th earth, or is the 7th earth. So my feeling is he's talking about, Baba said, Hafiz's poetry does cover the, involution and the whole, theme of creation and the inner journey. So I think what he might be saying here is that once the 7 journeys are done to the 7th plane, the 8th turn is that descent of God back to human consciousness.
Ah.
So he lands back on earth and has to deal with us.
Yeah, that would be interesting. Yeah.
Earthbounds. But how to say that poetically is impossible, so I have to footnote it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, Baba said, I mean, this is what I heard, that in Hafiz's poetry are all the stages of the path leading to God.
Mm-hmm.
The 6th plane, the couplet that refers to the 6th plane is, we have seen the face of the beloved reflected in the cup of our hearts.
Mm.
No notion, dear one, have you of the bliss we imbibe therefrom. Baba pointed out that's the line that refers to the 6th plane. Anyway, any other things, or otherwise someone will have to sing a lullaby to Namita, put her to sleep.
Okay, here is something that
Yeah.
I was thinking few days back. It's a total different topic and all that. And see, in India right now, this is a 15 days where people pray to their ancestors. Okay, that part of the year is now where people are praying to their ancestors and all that. And Baba says that obviously after 4 days, 10 days, the connection is lost and everything. And 10 days, no ritual is required. So I was just thinking, how do we know that some souls need more prayer and some souls have moved on? So how do we know that? Maybe some souls are needing more prayer and everything, and some souls have actually moved on. So how do we know that?
Meaning
this question.
moved on, they've been liberated?
No, they have moved on to next life, and they are not many more. And some might be still connected with their past life, lingering and all that. So I was just thinking on that.
Yeah, my feeling is that you can't go wrong loving anyone from your heart, whether they're alive or dead, or whether they've reincarnated, wherever they are. In other words, Bob Brown could be already a teenager by now, but the love that we had for each other, if I send him love, his heart will receive that love, even if he's just a teenager somewhere in New Jersey.
You know, it's funny. Hafiz too often, sometimes, not often, sometimes prays for his master and for God. You know, sends love and good wishes to his master and to God, you know. So you can't go wrong by praying to anyone, for anyone.
Yeah. I think love always is always received. You think, oh well, if I send love, if I think lovingly of Bob Brown, who died, I mean, wherever he is today on earth, that love goes to his heart, and his heart sends the love back to me. It's just the way it is. I mean, that's just my feeling. And like Baba says, the last message he gave on the alphabet board, that we would be held together by internal links. You all know this. Internal links with him and with each other. So thinking of all these people, whether they're still alive or dead or whatever, we're creating this, our support system for the next 700 years. You know,
Wow.
I mean, it's very important. I mean, I have always felt not to take it lightly. That we will meet again and again over the next 700 years, and
Yeah.
help each other. And whether if someone passes on, I guess now this is just my opinion. I mean, I like I say, I don't believe in out of sight, out of mind sort of a thing. You can keep alive that love without it becoming grief, you know, getting kind of narrowed down into grief. But a bond of love is there.
But they're just in the next room. They haven't gone anywhere.
Yeah. Or they may be in the next room, literally, reborn.
Yeah.
Jeff is funny.
No, that's a beautiful thing. I mean, no one dies. Love never ends.
Love never. And
I think
I remember one.
like it just get bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
You know, every time the family grows, you know, like me and my grandchildren, you know.
Oh.
The love just keep growing, right, Jake? You and your children. And now Jesse's gonna have a baby, you see. You know, the love just keep growing and growing and growing.
Well, you see. Well, I guess you know what? I think you're right. I take that back. I was going to argue against that, but I realized that the love does grow, but it doesn't always look the way you expect it to look as it grows.
What do you mean?
Well, like my daughter Jolie is starting to get to this age where she is, you know, retracting her affection and what I would call her love due from me, say because she's angry at a decision I've made that impacts her. And so like so certain pathways and avenues of the expression of love between she and I see dwindling as she's getting older and maturing. And I think that's a natural part of you know, parental relationships. But what I'm realizing is that then the new call for me is to continue to to not take those, the diminishing of those avenues to heart personally, and then take it, be hurt by that to the extent that then I cut off my heart and mature in my love for her.
Yeah.
So I think
Exactly.
that's,
Don't cut off.
yeah. So I think to your point, Lenita, it's true. The love does keep growing. It just doesn't always look the same way you want it to.
You know what I found for myself is that, you know, my children, my 3 grandchildren now, that is that your presence is the most important thing. It doesn't matter her reaction about your love, about things that you do. This is part of the growing up, you know. She always gonna go against you for this way or that way, or she's gonna, you know, want to stand up for herself. This is normal. But your presence to her, be present to her in every time you have a chance. When you read a book, or when she asks you for help with her homework, or if she's got a problem with a brother or a friend, whatever, you know, your presence, you be there for her 100% in that moment when she needs you. So she feels your affection at the core, you know. You don't budge in that. Just be there for her in every moment that she needs you. You know, she comes to you, be there immediately. You know, she'll feel that the amazing love that comes from you as the father. You know, everything else is just part of the life, you know, the everyday life. That's not always great. It's not always like bed of roses. You know, we have discussions, we have fights, we have, you know, disagreements. This is part of our relationship with people around us, you know. But when they feel that you are there, you are present. I feel this with my grandchildren, you know, my kids also. I learned, I didn't know that when my kids were little, you know. I learned that later, much later in life. But I feel now that they adults, you know, even now that they adults, if I listen to them, if I'm there 100% with them, with my presence, you know, not thinking about anything else, just listen to them. Just be there and listen what she's got to say to you, what, you know, or even your son, you know, whatever, whoever, even your wife, you know. I think the best thing you can do for another human being is our presence, is our 100% presence in the moment, is be available in the moment, you know, when they need you, you know. Well, that's my 2 cents to
Beautiful.
before I go to
That's
bed.
good.
Excellent.
Very good.
Beautiful.
That's
Like,
excellent. And there you got it from a mother and a
Yeah, I'm a
grandmother.
mother of 4 and a grandmother of 3. I got a lot of experience.
No, that's lovely. That's,
Yeah,
Hey.
that's beautiful. I appreciated you sharing that, Lenita.
And I regret now that I didn't have this knowledge when my kids are growing up, when they are little like yours, you know. But, you know, I didn't know better, so I did my best. And now I know that, you know, now it's time to, you know, to make it up, I guess.
Hey, here is something I want to share.
Yeah.
Very, very short. This is a 70th birthday message Baba gave. It's interesting. Although I take birth for all mankind, fortunate are the ones who love me while I am on earth. Although I take birth for all mankind, fortunate are the ones who love me while I am on earth. Meher Baap. So, what do you guys think?
I think it's great because we are in that period. Because he said for 100 years, he's here. So yay!
Yep. Hey, just want to ask, hey Jeremy, did I hear that you were thinking of moving to Myrtle Beach?
I heard that too.
Look at,
Well,
you know,
Suresh, they just heard it from Jeff, because Jeff just said it. I don't know where Jeff heard it from.
what's that?
I said Faresh, they heard it from Jeff because you just said it. I don't know where you, Jeff, heard it from.
I don't know. The
Guy
great,
is too smart.
well,
That's heard from somebody else, we don't know who.
Oh, fun.
Baba may drag me there by my feet.
kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
Take your sister with you when you go.
Oh, no, I guess unfortunately,
Ariel.
he's probably got to be up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ariel is like the ant underneath the elephant's foot, actually.
Yeah.
So.
Like Hafiz said.
Yeah. But it could happen, Jeff. It could happen for sure. I thought about it.
We'll just kind of put it out there to Bob and just see what over time what he decides.
Yeah. I was sad. I heard that Azita is not working at the center anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was I mean, I shouldn't be sad, but it definitely was a little. I got wistful.
Where'd she go?
About that.
Washington, D.C., right? Yeah. Or Maryland.
No, just outside Washington, D.C.,
yeah,
was a guy named Tom Wolfe, big 6'6" Tom Wolfe. He has a herb shop called the Smile Herb Shop, and he and his wife run this. Quite a few people. It's been in existence since I think '71. So she's gone up there to learn how to run a business and everything because she has a dream. One of her dreams is to open up a business in the Southwest.
Well, that's a win-win because Tom wants to learn Farsi. So there you go.
Yeah, no, that's
match made in heaven.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's great.
So that's a nice thing.
I had a question.
Yeah.
I guess what Jake and Lanita were talking about brought up a question for me, which is just about the difference between leading a life where you're married and or have kids versus leading a life where you don't have a family of your own with Baba. If anybody has any thoughts about that. So I just feel like there's different lessons you can learn or different aspects of life that get brought out with both. But it's something that I've sort of struggled with, being single and not knowing if or when I'll ever have that.
Yeah.
Especially if you live in New York, do you feel a little isolated, right?
Well,
Do you have a lot of friends?
Yeah, but it's more just like
a companion.
Yeah, and I think also just the world sort of operates based on the nuclear family still and based on people being in monogamous relationships. So it's just a different experience when you're sort of like a free agent. And I feel like love can be different when you're like not pouring that all onto your family, but it can be directed elsewhere, I guess.
Well, I'm a free agent also because I'm a widow living by myself. My children are all over the place. I had to travel 4 hours to see my grandchildren. But I think it's the same thing. With your friends and family. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
If you're available, if you're there, if you're present, it's always a plus. So because I've been married before, you're not, so you're much younger than me. So I feel like if Baba wants me to be a nun now, for the rest of my life, I'm just okay with that, If I, you know what I'm saying? Because I already had the experience of being married or have children. So it's not anything new for me. So some people like your age, they want to have the experience of having children or having a husband or wife, whatever it is, And I think it's part of life, So I don't know.
I know it's amazing because we may have a whole lot of times when we're married. And see you, Prakash.
Hey, Baba.
And
Hey, Baba.
a lot of times.
Prakash, goodbye. Have a good night.
Wonderful to see you.
Yep, same here. Thank you, Jai Baba.
And we may have a whole lot of lifetime. What's that?
Jai Baba, I said, Jeff, thank you so much for this beautiful session.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for bringing up the free will and predestination. And now you just take your free will and go to bed.
Go to bed.
Oh wait, no, that's
it's
right.
Morning.
That's right. You're just starting your day.
I know. And it's also my birthday today. So I'm
Goodness.
actually
Happy
looking forward.
birthday.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
Oh, fantastic. I don't think we could sing
Yeah,
happy birthday.
it's September.
No, here's what. We're going to have Lanita sing happy birthday to you because if we all sing, it sounds crazy on the Zoom.
Okay.
So whose birthday? Namita?
Yeah, Namita.
Yeah.
Namita, it's your birthday today?
Yeah.
Yay!
Beautiful.
Should I sing that?
Thank you.
We'll mouth it.
Sure.
And we'll let you do the singing. Okay?
All right, there you go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Namita. Happy birthday to you. And many more.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good. Hey, well, good. I'm glad you told us. I mean, your birthday is...
I went down.
Huh?
I went down. A friend of mine. I said I went down, and all this time, my friend actually, who he owns a dairy here, so he bought some really good breakfast for me. I went down. I collected that, came back, had a bath, and now I'm still talking to you people. So it's really nice. I've been on
good.
Zoom since a long time.
Always great to see you.
Thank you so much, and I'll join in again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, Baba.
Hey, Baba.
Great day. Enjoy your
Bye,
birthday.
everyone. Hey, Baba.
Happy birthday.
Baba.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, Baba.
I too must depart.
Yeah.
Long day of Zooming.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah. Let Jeremy, you brought that up. Yeah. I know it has to do kind of your nature, and sometimes if you're single a lot, you don't know, you may not get the experience of having to adjust to someone else intimately. But then when you're when you have a partner, you know that adjusting someone intimately, but you may not know how to be self-reliant alone. So you swing back and forth in all sorts of different ways. But this is kind of funny, but Erich would say, I guess it's a Marathi thing, that love and the single life in marriage, he says it's like a piece of chocolate that's carved just out of wood. Those who are not married look fondly at this, this piece of chocolate, but they just don't get it. Whereas someone who's married, reaches over, pops the thing in their mouth, and it's just wood. So no one's really satisfied. I mean, whatever it is, it's not what you think it's going to be.
Right.
You think, wow, if I had that chocolate, it would be great. But then,
It's
you know,
never gonna be the
oh,
thing
well,
we
well,
think
just
that
take it
we
and you
need.
throw it in your mouth and you just.
Who said that? They deserve a medal.
No, it's the love that makes it all rich and brings Baba into the picture. And I'm really glad that Baba has made being single not a valid way to live, rather than there's something wrong with you if you're single. You know,
What?
Baba has erased that.
Yeah, didn't he say that, you know, in marriage, if properly conducted, all they will need is a flicker?
Yeah, embrace from the master.
So it's the last frontier, I say.
Yeah. But Baba didn't, Baba didn't say that, celibacy is the best way, because probably reason I picture it that you'd have a band of celibates going around town, you know, like they think they've got it all together. That doesn't necessarily ensure that you have love, that
Yeah.
you're loving.
But this does a lot.
That's it, the grinding. Jeremy, you know Baba's symbol, you know what Baba's symbol for marriage, right?
Yeah. I forgot, but you just reminded me.
Yeah.
That's funny.
No, but yeah, these things, I think you hold them out to Baba and see what he would want, you know.
Hmm. Yeah,
He
thanks.
just wants
It's
love
not
from
like if you're single, you're obviously dysfunctional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, we mirror each other. When you marry, you know, you grow up, you grow together. Well, that's what's supposed to be. I don't know if it's every marriage is like that, but you know, you have more opportunity to grow together because you mirror each other, you know.
Yeah.
And it comes a lot of things comes out of us if we have a partner. If you don't have, it won't come up. Then you will know, you know, and you never know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have more chance to get to know yourself, you know, when you are with someone, you know, close by and every day, and you know, pressing your buttons left and right. Pressing each other's buttons left and right, so we get to know our buttons, what they are. You know, if not, then we don't know.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
Baba Ram Dass said that you want to know what progress you've made on the spiritual path. Just go home for a weekend and spend a weekend with your parents.
With your parents.
Yeah.
No. You got great parents. You really do.
Yeah.
But some situations and Jake's got great parents.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I'm very lucky that way.
He's lucky, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, this is the last thing I'm going to say because I better go to bed. But Don Stevens asked Baba what he meant by, what does it mean when if you tithe and take Baba's name, you go to him. But what is that?
Okay, well, come to me. Come to me.
Come
It
to
means
me. What does that mean? And for a long time, you know, you felt, well, you get liberation. But Baba, when Don Stevens asked him, that one of it is liberation, the other is that you come back. I mean, you go to him and then you come back in a Baba family. You know, so to me, what that means is that Jeremy and Ganesh and Jake, you were already with Baba in your last life. And this time you've been placed in a Baba family. At the end of your life, you remembered Baba, and he brought you to him, and then he placed you in a Baba family so you could grow up in a Baba family.
It's
To me, you
beautiful.
guys, you were with him. Well, Ganesh, not only that, both of Ganesh's parents met Baba. So I don't know what the heck he said in his dying moment.
Wow, Ganesh, your both parents met Baba?
Yes.
Yeah.
In Baba.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was before you're born?
Yes, much before I was born. I was born after Baba dropped his body many years later. So.
Okay. Well, I was fortunate to be alive when Baba, to be born already when Baba was around, you know.
Yeah.
I was already on at the same time as Baba on Earth.
Were you in Brazil the whole time?
I don't know what the heck that means, but
Brazil doesn't count.
yeah. It doesn't count.
Oh, God.
Is Brazil a country?
But you know, Lenita, what it does mean is that during that time, I mean, Baba was very clearly and actively thinking about you, knowing that you would become a great Baba lover, a great lover of his. You know, there's
Good. Thanks, Jake. Thanks for clarifying that to me because I didn't know what that means. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, of course.
You know, just to show how intimately Baba is with us. Baba in the I think it was in the 30s was driving through the streets of London with this couple in the car with him, and they were driving along, and they passed an apartment building, and Baba pointed to the second floor of the apartment building. They looked up. That's the apartment that they'd lived in when they were first married, long before they even knew of Baba.
Wow.
So that he is really with us. I mean, from beginning to end. He could tell everything that we've done, you know, because he was a witness to it. One time, Adi told us this, that Bob was kind of giving darshan, and people were bowing down to his feet, and some of them kind of young, beautiful women. And while one of the women was bowing down, Baba said, pointed to Adi, "What are you thinking?" Adi said, "Baba, I'm thinking of you." And also, I think it was also Dr. Ghani. He asked him, "What are you thinking?" So they were kind of caught, but they said, "Well, thinking of you, Baba." Afterwards, Baba took Adi aside and said, "You know, look I know what you're thinking. I know." And he described a scene long before they even knew of Baba, a scene in which Adi and his cousin Sarosh were out on a cricket in a cricket match, I think, and one of them had done an illegal move. I mean, and nobody would even have known of this scene. I mean, it was like so specialized. And, you know, Baba described that scene. I mean, you know, he had to have been there to know it. So, you know, Adi knew that Baba knows that such intimate, such finite details about his life. Can he not know every thought that Adi has?
I heard this saying that being on the spiritual journey is like living in a glass house.
Uh-huh.
Made
with
of
a master. You mean with a
Mhm.
master is, yeah.
With a master.
Without curtains.
Huh?
Without curtains.
That's right.
Living in a glass house without curtains.
Well, you know, I tell you, working here with Kitty and Elizabeth, they could see it was I mean, I led a much better life than I would have led if I was living in New Jersey. No, Prakash isn't here anymore. No, but they could see. They could see what I was thinking, what mood I was in. I mean, it made me self-conscious, but it gave me a feeling of what it was like to be around Baba with people who can actually see much more deeply into you. Most people look in about 2 inches and say, heck with that guy. But, you know, they were able to look right in. Oh, and one time, there was one time I I was in a very bad physical way, and I had this strange sensation on my head, up here on my head, that went on for months. And one time I went in to see Elizabeth and about something we were talking, and she said, "I see something there on your head. You need to go home and
What?
sleep and don't come to work for like a couple of weeks." So I was probably at a point of nervous exhaustion or something. But I could feel it. I felt uncomfortable, but she actually could see it.
Wow.
You know, it wasn't visible at all. So, like I say, they were able to kind of look in, and uh, same with Audie. God, Audie, you feel like it's thinking like being in a glass house. Jeez, you better make sure you whatever you.
But the beauty
Thank God
must
I
have
wasn't
been that,
around.
Huh?
Thank God I wasn't around with Kitty and Elise.
Yeah, you had to get used to
But I didn't want to be like that, you know, knowing that they would know everything about me. It's very
Yeah.
uncomfortable, you know.
but the beauty of it is that I suspect they looked through and past all that to see that Baba in you also, which,
Yeah.
you know, they saw the divine in you and they brought out that more than your faults.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope
So,
so.
Kitty did find fault with me one period for about 3 months, as doing the best that I could. It was difficult, but I'm sure it was good training. What I mean is, but she could see a little more than I wanted her to see of me, you know. But it was, I think, it was good training for, I think, what we're going to be with Baba in the future when he comes again.
This
So
gives me a thought. What
all
is
this
going
is
to
training.
happen?
Huh?
What is going to just this gives me a thought. Like what is going to happen is like your generation lived so much with Baba, with Mandalis, and they could get so much of it. Then our generation, we got a little of it. But the future, I think they will just come, go down to the Samadhi and go away because these kind of things, I don't know if they can get carried to the future generations. I always ponder on that, and I don't know how it's going to be in future. Like maybe after 50 years or so, it will just be like people will come,
No,
go
but
down.
listen to this. Bill LePage asked Erich what was going to happen over the next 700 years. And Erich says his Mandali and his close ones are coming back, and they will be amongst you. You know, so there's a party after the last party. So the Mandali, well, there. So the Mandali are around us right now, and so they've been reborn, and so the age of the Mandali is not over. It's still happening. So,
but they would be so incognito, right? Means they won't be in public. I mean, and would they be with the same characteristics, or they would be lost in their lives with their responsibilities towards their life? I don't know.
I mean, you may have some of the Mandali around you, and some of his close ones. You may even be one of his close ones. I imagine, and you wouldn't. and they kind of know how to live for Baba, what he wants and how it is. They may, and and so you we can benefit from the. I mean, even there's one guy here, Merwin Mehta,
Yes.
who we know and everything. Baba said he had been Narina Machabeli, so he's out and around, and he has that, one pointed kind of focus on Baba in a very, very measured sort of way. And so if you're around people like that, even if they're not talking about their times with Baba, they are emanating that that experience of having been, spent many years with Baba.
Baba said that he was Narina Machabeli, that he is Narina Machabeli. Baba said that?
Merwin Mehta.
Or Eric.
Baba said that, right? At Guru Prasad.
Baba or Eric?
Both. Merwin Mehta.
Yeah, I know. I met him. I know him.
Yeah. No, what I mean is they're around, and you don't know necessarily who they are, but it doesn't matter. They are there, and they kind of know Baba's ways, and they know the way. They know how he loves, and so you imbibe it, even if they themselves don't necessarily know their, that they just came from Baba. So it's not as barren a landscape as you might think. Really.
It's a beautiful reflection. I really appreciate that meeting.
I would say you guys, your ongoing interest in Baba, you had to have been close ones.
So Jeff, if we send love to
go ahead, what?
If we send love to Mani or Kitty or Elizabeth, you think that how do we know who's back and who's already with Baba?
Well, if they're alive, you're around.
I don't know.
But
can we call them over?
I think that the ones that they have the special links with, well, they have links with all of us, and I'll tell you something. Well, no, I'll tell you some other time.
No.
You should tell us. You should tell us. I know something has come.
now.
Okay.
You should tell now.
Why you started?
Well, I used to work at Shariar Press, and running the printing press itself, which you have to be very one-pointed. You're watching the inking. You're watching the everything lines up. It's very your concentration is highly one-pointed when you're doing a press run, and the sheets are coming by so fast. But anyway, every once in a while, once a year, I would have a flash. I would have a vision that would take place in a millisecond, and the next thing I would know, I would be back on the press run, right in the middle of one of these press runs. And one of them happened, I saw myself 300 years back, something like that. And I was in a room with a master, some spiritual master. And he told me that one day I would come to a place where I would enjoy a reunion with many long-lost friends. Bam! Myrtle Beach! I realized 300 years back, he was telling me I would come to this place where I would enjoy a reunion with many long-lost friends. And all the people that have come to the center all have been very familiar to me.
Beautiful. I love that. Absolutely beautiful.
Really, and so
Wow.
all this is laid out.
Jeff, do you know when I first went to New York, in 1991, I went to live in New York. I went straight to live in New York. I didn't go to visit before. I went just straight to be there for 10 months. And it was the funniest thing, the weirdest feelings that I had is that every person who I looked, well, first off, I felt at home when I got to New York. It's very weird because people are afraid of New York. A lot of friends of mine, I didn't like New York, too many people, the energy is so. I didn't feel any negative thing. I felt like I was home the first day I stepped my foot in there. And everybody, every person that I found, that I met, even people who I saw on the street, it looked so familiar to me.
Yeah.
It was the weirdest feeling, I felt like I was there. I hadn't been there before,
Yeah.
Everything is so familiar. I just love that place, the funkiness, the weirdness, the noise, the people.
Yeah.
I was home,
Yeah.
That's the weirdest thing,
Yeah.
And I always felt that's why I love New York. A lot of people don't like New York.
Yeah.
But for that reason, I like it because it was home for me, for a long time, 25 years,
Yeah. Yeah.
I was there in my past life. I'm sure I was there, I lived there.
Yeah.
So,
No, we're all going to keep bumping into each other.
Whether we like it or not.
Exactly. Whether you like it or not, you're gonna bump again and again and again.
And Ganesh is probably going to translate Farishtay's translations of English into Hindi.
My Hindi is not so good. So,
But what I love about that reflection, though, about keeping bumping into each other, is that this really becomes then like the support network for growing closer to Baba. I'm unconscious on some level, yeah, sure, but
Yeah.
that there's support. You're not doing it alone, and that
Yeah.
there's help. So
It's all very intricately worked out, and it's an open-ended thing. But for this historical period, we're the ones that are part of this. But everybody eventually, gets funneled into being with Baba.
And it's not like he didn't plan this out. This COVID period is a very special period for his lovers, I think.
Yeah.
and actually, I'll tell you what. One thing I would like to share is Jeff and I've been meeting Jeff and we exchange notes every year. It's almost like last 15, 20 years. Comes to India between October, around 20th, and stays till November 3rd week and all that. And every year when it comes, I do make it a point to go, and especially during a weekend, and spend time with him and all that, exchange our notes and we talk and all that. And actually I was wondering few months back, this year maybe Jeff won't be traveling and maybe we won't be able to talk so much and have that time. Okay, and then suddenly I see this new platform and it's we're spending more hours than we could do that way. So
yeah, we're actually hanging out for longer periods than we're there together at Mehrabad.
Yeah.
Sure, for us too, because all we could see Jeff at was the lunch table if we were lucky enough to catch him on the day of. And that was it. I mean, this has been such a beautiful.
I know, it's unbelievable. We see each other. I'm seeing everybody more than I see, anybody. I mean, before the virus, before this lockdown, I'm seeing people. I think it's great, It's not the ideal, but, it's perfect for now,
Yeah, I've only seen Marichand, just briefly, every year usually.
Yeah.
But not like hanging.
Regular.
Well, I never seen Ganesh or Marichan before,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm seeing them every day,
Yeah. That is called His grace.
Yeah.
Baba's grace, yes.
Yep.
Exactly.
Thank you, Baba. Hey, so
Jai Meher
I'm going to
Baba.
go. I'm going to take it. I have no idea what time it is, but great to see all of you. We'll just see
You don't want to know.
what happens.
Are you gonna stay at the center, Jeff?
What's that?
Are you gonna stay in the,
Yeah.
Are you gonna stay in the center?
Yeah. I'm here at the center. Okay. Jake.
Thank you.
Okay.
Jai Baba, Jeff. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Avatar Meher Baba ki jai.
Avatar
Meher Baba ki jai.
Hey, Marge is there. Marge was there, and Nasreen.
Marge is you here?
Yeah,
Marge,
look at
Marge is not
sending up balloons.
Margie
Yeah,
Pan is
Dinesh?
probably asleep.
Huh?
She's probably asleep.
No, she sent up her balloons there.
Oh, really? Oh my gosh, do it again.
Yeah, she's up and around. And Nasreen is there.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, beautiful. Nasreen, you have such a beautiful voice.
I know.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So true.
Yeah. Lovely voice.
Thank you. Thank you
Your
so
voice
much.
reminds me of being in Bauji's room.
Yes.
Okay, and Dinesh, what about Dinesh?
Who? Dinesh.
Dinesh.
Yeah, Baba.
Ah.
Oh, it's there.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, good. Well, we are.
Silent audience.
So
We are
Dinesh,
on
when
the
is gonna see your face?
So, Jay,
Yeah.
Oh, there you are.
Jai Baba.
Yeah.
Jai Baba, Jai Baba.